Here's Mr. Hamilton with this week's message.
Thanks for that introduction, and thanks to all of you for sharing what you were up to throughout the week. It's nice to hear what you've been up to. I'm not judging or checking up or marking what you're up to. It's just interesting to me, and I think it helps to share with somebody from the outside world. Things seem to be getting pretty small, the people you're able to connect to. So part of my role, I think, is just to give you someone on the outside to share what you've been doing. In this video, I'll share and explain what's going on for week number 2 in dance. We will do 3. This is our second. I just want to start by reviewing some of the posts that I made and some of the documents I shared with you last week. There was a lot of information, so I'll quickly share what you might have missed, and you can loop back and check out some of the other videos from last week that you may have not seen. I think in general we just need to take the pressure down a little bit. I sensed in reading some of your posts that you sent me that you needed to give me this massive list of everything that you're up to. That's really not the case. I'm just curious, and like I said, it gives you a format to share. So I sent a lot of documents last week. I think it would have been easy to miss some, and I can tell sort of by the amount of views that I've got on each that some were missed. So I'm not going to go into huge detail here. You can flip back and look at the videos from last week if you'd like, but we've got a communication plan. We've also got some general guidelines. A second document that I shared with you last week was Learn from Home guidelines. I think the key thing from this one was the 25 minutes per day. That is a guideline. Don't get stuck on that. I think if you get into it, you might spend more time. If you're not interested, you might spend no time. You might go several days in a row where you don't do phys ed at all. This is all new for all of us, so don't be too hard on yourself if you're not making those minimums. And I also sort of sense that as people were submitting their things that they've been up to while they've been off, there just seemed to be some tension and some like, I need to prove to Mr. Hamilton what I'm up to so that I get a good mark, or he's checking in on me, and that really wasn't my intention at all. These are just guidelines, and wherever you're at with your activity is good. Whichever one of the colors in the like Healthy You you're doing, whether you're doing blues, greens, oranges, whatever different section you're into, I think you need to be happy with that, because I'm happy with what you're up to. It's really hard to be active in these circumstances right now. So again, cut yourself a bit of a break. And within that idea of cutting yourself a break, that sort of leads us into the first item for our weekly challenge this week. It's just trying to find some balance. So this is a document I think that's going to be consistent for us that as we kind of move through learning at home. So you want some move, you want some outside, you want some talk and listen, and you want some relax and unplug. You've got some that you probably gravitate to. Try to sprinkle in or mix in some of the different colors from time to time. Second piece of the challenge is to continue to share with me what you've been up to. The big change that I want for this week is to sort of zone in or zoom in on what or how you're sharing with me rather than what you're sharing. So there's an assignment that I've created for you in Edsby. I've got a screenshot of what your Edsby would look like, and you're going to go to where does it say? Does it say submit? This is what's hard about all of this, is I don't see what it is on your end. I think it's in your work section. That's I think what it is. It's in your work section. So you're going to click there, and there'll be an assignment, and you have a choice. You can decide how you want to share. You can take a picture showing what you're doing. So that would be like, I'm shooting hoops in my driveway. You can take a picture of yourself. If it's the old school way, you're writing in words on a paper, I am shooting hoops. You take a picture of that, and then you could submit it to me. So I'm reading your words. You could also take a video of you shooting hoops, and then using Flipgrid, you can get a link. You can paste that link in to the online submission and then submit that to me. You could also type it and make a Word document and then upload that file. Then you're handing it in as an assignment. That's what I was saying earlier, you're uploading it. And what that does for me is I will all put it into your work section, which goes in my grade book, and then I think it goes into your assignments, and then everything that you've done and everything you've worked on is in the same place. So that's our focus for sharing this week. Third part of the weekly challenge is in purple this time. So you're continuing to practice dancing. Yeah, you can add some. Last week we did dance moves. You can start to progress to dance sequences. In the middle, we've got this big purple progression, or a dance learning continuum, and that should look familiar to you. We've used these before. So just to continue to move yourself up that continuum. You watched some dance hopefully last week. You can practice some moves, you can practice some sequences, and you can copy what you've got. Each one of those red satellite dishes at the bottom is hyperlinked to different dance moves. You can watch some of those if you'd like. You can also search and find your own. YouTube's a great place to look for things. TikTok's a great place to look for things. There's lots of trash on TikTok, but there's lots of good and helpful things as well. So use those resources and see if you can copy some of the sequences that are being done. I've got some in here that aren't really concentrated on making sure that they look cool. A lot of them they're just trying to be goofy and they're trying to be silly. And I think if you put yourself in that mindset, you're not trying to look like you know what you're doing. You can just sort of be silly with yourself, and in that way it's easier to take a risk and give it a try. Section 4 of our Phys Ed Weekly Challenge number 2 is to share some dance moves or some dance sequences that you've been copying off of other people with me. There's 3 ways to share. So you can use the Flipgrid code. It's there in green for each of the groups, and then you can click there to share. You can also scan the QR code. Each grade is sort of got a different folder or section on my Flipgrid. So grade 8s, you can see what other grade 8s are doing. Grade 7s, you can see what other grade 7s are doing, and 6s, same thing. Coming up next week, we got one more week of dance, I believe. I think usually when we're in the gym, 2 or 3 weeks is long enough, and we're heading into our 3rd week. So we'll put it out there as a challenge for you to try to create your own dance moves and share with me next time. We've been copying this time. Creating your own will be a little bit more challenging, and then we'll finish with that.
Thanks, Mr. Hamilton, and thanks for watching.